Soundstripe.
Welcome to our podcast, When Life Gives You Lemons. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Palmy. We consider ourselves disability advocates and intend to spotlight some disability issues and things we find interesting that we frequently encounter when we're out and about. Also, some history on disability that we find interesting.
Well, hello, folks. We're here for another episode of When Life Gives You Lemons, the podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So, Palmy, what are we talking about today?
Our topic is autism or autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Do you know anything about it?
The only thing I know about it is I know there are varying degrees of autism, from very affected to pretty much what you would deem as normal. Just, they don't display the their disorder,
what you think of typical autism.
But they displays a
Isn't that called being on the
person.
spectrum?
Yeah, that's why they call it a spectrum versus with cancer diagnosis, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3.
I think we're going to talk a lot about what the side effects and how the behavior is, but they really don't know a lot about it scientifically.
They don't really know a lot about it, and as we just mentioned, it's to varying degrees. Some people are very affected by autism, and some have autism but are supposedly, for all appearances, they're not giving you the feedback. They're going through extra steps in their mind.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Autism or autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how people interact, communicate, and experience the world. It's called a spectrum because it presents in wide ranges of ways, from subtle social differences to significant challenges in daily life.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Go to the information, huh?
Yeah. Okay, some of the key aspects of autism could include social communication differences. People with autism may often struggle with understanding social cues, maintaining conversations, or expressing emotions. These are often expressed in non-typical ways or even in typical ways. Again, depending where on the spectrum you are, but it's often running through their minds if they're not saying it or displaying it.
Another key aspect is repetitive behavior or routines. Many autistic individuals find comfort in routine and may engage in repetitive movements or intensive focus on specific interests.
Sensitivities. Some experienced heightened or reduced sensitivity to sounds, lights, textures, or other sensory inputs.
Decisive strength or challenges. Autism is not just about difficulties. Many autistic individuals have unique talents in areas of memory, problem solving, and creativity.
Autism is lifelong, meaning it doesn't go away with any sort of treatment or with age. Support and understanding can help autistic individuals thrive. Oftentimes, an autistic individual, if they're able to cope with the sensitivity to stimuli and actually don't diverge neurologically speaking with the ways to learn or have overcome any difficulties in learning or communication, they cannot lead normal seeming lives.
And early intervention tailored support makes a significant difference in the development and quality of life. I know when Rose was born premature, and they worked on sensitivity, sensory sensitivity. They would make her put her hands in. Premature children have that type of stuff too. They would make her put her hands in sand and in water and soap, all different kinds of sensory things that would get her used to, so her brain would connect to that. And I think that's probably a lot of what they do too. I know our family has quite a few premature children, very premature, all the way to, not at, our daughter was the least premature at 6 months, believe it or not. And she was 3 pounds. The rest of them were like less than a pound in some cases. And they all went through that sensory sensitivity program in order to develop their brain. Supporting individuals with autism involves understanding their unique needs and strengths. And here are some effective strategies.
Yeah, when it comes to communication, you want to use clear and concise language. Obviously don't put the guy up there that speaks abnormally. Is what that boils down to in my case.
Well, no, they just need direct communications without ambiguity. Is that the word? Ambiguity?
Ambiguity, yeah.
Well, so that they know exactly what they're supposed to do.
Oftentimes I found out that people do not understand what I'm saying. So they only get certain words. So when I say, do not do this, all they hear is this. And they kind of, well, he said do this. No, I said do not do this.
Visual supports, tools like social stories, schedules, and picture-based communications can be incredibly helpful.
So can alternative communications. Some autistic university individuals use AAC, augmentative and alternative communication devices or apps to express themselves.
Is that like on the computer?
Can be I'm sure you may have seen either documentaries, sitcoms, or whatever with Stephen Hawking.
Oh, yeah.
And he uses basically a computer to
like we were looking
synthesize his voice, right?
Like we were looking for into you, so you could use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they also, of course, nowadays you can use an AI generator if you use the internet to generate a voice, as long as you have text input to it.
Yeah, but we're talking about children at this age. They may not have that knowledge.
Yeah. I'm going to guesstimate that in a couple of years, somebody will be able to come up with apps that pretty much tie to those AIs, and they can just use their phone to form a text and then have that voice speak for them if needed.
Yeah, makes sense. Establish predictable routines. Consistency helps reduce anxiety and increases comfort in the daily life. Prepare for changes, give advance notice, and use visual schedules to ease transitions. I use that on you.
Okay. Strength-based support encourages passions and interests. Many autistic individuals excel in areas they're interested in. In other areas, they kind of underproduce because they're not that interested in it.
Okay, we skipped sensory consideration. So adjust environments, minimize sensory overloads, reduce the bright lights, loud noises, help autistic individuals feel more comfortable, provide sensory-friendly tools like a noise-canceling headphones, weighted blankets, and fidget toys can offer comfort.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of autistic individuals who blog on the internet. They always have some sort of device to
keep their hands
fidget with. Yeah. Basically, one gal I was watching has like it looks like a Twizzler from a distance, just a red kind of thick piece of rope, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
She just twirls it around.
It's a comfort toy, yeah.
Yeah, it just gives her hands and fingers something to do while her, and it makes her feel more secure in her environment,
Well, that leads right into the promote the self-avocation, promote autistic individuals into understanding and express their needs is empowering. And then the next one is the social. You want to start that one?
Social inclusion and acceptance. Foster inclusive environments, whether it be school, work, or social settings. Embracing neurodiversity leads to better support. We also have educating others. You have to raise awareness and understanding about the individual. It helps create a more accepting community.
That's kind of what we're doing here. Support autistic students in school requires structured and inclusive and individual approaches. There's many effective strategies. We're going to list a few of the classroom environments.
Okay, defined learning spaces. Clearly marked workstations help students focus and understand expectations. Visual supports, picture schedules and labels reinforce their independence in task competition. Sensory-friendly adjustments, reducing bright lights, loud noises, and providing quiet zones that can help manage sensory sensitivities.
And as we talked before, routine and predictability. Structured schedules using visual schedules with symbols or picture cards help students anticipate transitions and reduce anxiety. Calm down areas, designated spots with sensor tools allows students to self-regulate when overwhelmed.
Behavioral and learning support. Applied behavior analysis, or ABA, is a structural approach that reinforces positive behaviors and helps educators tailor interventions. Prompting and reinforcing techniques encourage desired behaviors and learning. Collaboration between teachers, aides, and specialists ensures strategies and are adapted to individual needs.
And as we stated before, every autistic child or individual is different. So these have to be, wide ranging and used based on the individual needs.
Right.
So inclusive classroom strategies is to visually support and structured teaching. Schools that have successfully implemented visual scheduled social stories and structured teaching methods like TEACCH to help autistic students navigate their day. Strength-based based learning. Some schools focus on leveraging students' interests to enhance engagement. For example, a student passionate about maps might use GPS-based activities to develop math and geographic skills.
And I'm going to put a story in here for everybody. I was actually, once I was going through these research notes, I was thinking, oh, this would be a great time to get one of our special ed teachers and do an interview about what sort of things they typically see in students in this area and how they cope with overcoming the problems they got. But hey, it's summer, no school. It's hard to find a teacher.
They disappear, don't they?
Yeah.
So we're on social and behavioral support. So peer mentoring programs, students have introduced peer buddy systems where neurotypical students support autistic classmates in social interactions and group activities, fostering inclusion. No, I'm saying that wrong.
Sensory-friendly classrooms.
Adjust like quiet zones, noise-canceling headphones, and flexible seating can help students regulate sensory input and focus better.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take out all those centrals you say so people don't think we're trying to teach kids the wrong thing.
This is rated PG, right?
Yes. Specialized support services, speech and occupational therapy integration. Schools that integrate their speech therapy with their occupational therapy and behavioral interventions develop routines that cause improvements in communication and self-regulation. Social skills are programs that teach functional communication and social interaction through structured activities that have helped autistic students build confidence and relationships.
So testing for autism typically involves a multi-step evaluation process that combines behavioral observation, developmental history, and standardized assessment. Here's how it usually works. They do a developmental scanning. This is often the first step, especially for children. Pediatricians usually may use brief questionnaires during routine checkups to flag any sign of the developmental delays.
Comprehensive diagnostic evaluation. If concerns arise, a more in-depth assessment is done by specialists, such as developmental pediatricians, child psychologists, or neurologists. This includes interviews with caretakers. It's like the Autism Diagnostic Interview Revised, or ADI, that we spoke of before, but with a -R for revised. Direct observation of behavior communication, again, such as the ADI. But in this time, they call it an ADOS for Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. And of course, they have to have standardized tests. Every category of education has standardized tests. Those are to assess cognitive, language, and motor skills.
So the DSM-5 criteria is clinicians use the criteria for the diagnostic and mental
statistical
manual of disorder. So that is the DSM-5 to determine if someone meets the diagnostic threshold for autism spectrum disorder. This includes persistent challenges in social communications and restricted repetitive behaviors.
Additional testing is necessary in some cases. We're talking genetic testing, neurological exams, or sensory processing assessments. Those can be recommended to rule out other conditions or have a better understanding of the individual's needs.
ASD typically appears in early childhood, often before age 3, and includes what were once considered separate conditions like Asperger's syndrome and childhood disorder. Common traits include difficulty with social interaction and communications, repetitive behaviors, and intense focus on specific interests. Sensory sensitivity, i.e., to sound, light, and textures. So that gives us a little more understanding of what autism is. That will lead us into our next episode, which we have one of our friends, our neighbor. Her son is autistic, and that she'd be able to go into more detail of specifically what has helped him in the past and what his schooling has been.
Right. So before we sign off, we have a few housekeeping items to talk about. Number one, we're going to end this season in November. I'll get you that date during the next episode. Please, you can support us easily by just word of mouth, telling somebody about this program. We'd like to hear some feedback from people on our Facebook page or via email or via fan mail. It's all up to you. We've given you several ways to discuss items with us. We'd like to hear you about as far as topics you'd like to hear. We've only had one request like that this year that we'll get into on later episodes. For the rest of you slackers, let us know what it is you want to hear about.
Hey, you really increased your Facebook page. I saw there's quite a few members now.
Yeah. I've been trying these past couple weeks to really work to develop that aspect and hopefully get a couple conversations going. What I'm going to do is, if you read the description for this episode off the website, www.whenlifegivesyoulemons.net, it will give you a direct link to that Facebook page. That way you don't have to go through my page to get to it.
And I saw on there that Maria, one of our past interviewers, was on there. She raced in the corn detour of the corn, or whatever that is. Did you see that her pictures on there?
I did.
Yeah,
I'm
very proud of her.
up there yesterday, but I didn't have a whole lot of details, so I didn't have a whole lot of context.
Yeah.
But her picture's up there.
Yay, Maria. And now Maria started a new Facebook page. So please join her Facebook page too. She talks about disability issues also.
Okay, folks, that's about all we have for this week.
Let's get going before we get blown away by the leaf blower.
Yeah, there's a guy out in our yard. I have no idea who this guy is or why, but he's blowing our lawn. Apparently tried to just blow everything away like a tornado.
All right, bye for now.
See you later, folks. Till next episode, take those lemons and make your own lemonade.